Hello, everybody. Welcome back. I Want Entertainment here with the game of the Summer Gamers Paradise 2. We're in level 5. We are in the thick of it. Brandon, it's been a while since we've chatted about where your head's at in the game, what's going on. Do you want to start by just unloading, or do you want me to backtrack a little bit?
How did you backtrack? There's been a lot.
There has been a lot. Okay. So I feel like the last time we spoke was around the end of round 3. I don't think anybody, maybe one person, got a confessional in for level 4 racing. You were at what were you at the top? Were you number 1? So you were at the top of racing. Like, you're looking behind you as you're running the track. You see all the other faces, and in that sort of level, give and take some craziness where like everybody who wins leg 2 or leg 3 is like completely after you. But like when you're number 1 after, or at least high on the rankings after the first lap, it's essentially quite difficult for you to be in like a glitch danger. So how are you feeling like after the live night of that initial start of the race level?
I think I had I think I've made it pretty clear in the last couple of rounds that what I've been trying to do is lay low. Because what I feel like is that there are people who are in a trickier position than I am, who are trying to leverage my positioning against me, which is part of like my fear of coming into like these later rounds, which I feel like it's starting to happen. So no, at that moment I was like, it's nice that, you know, I'm not in danger now, but there was a sneaking suspicion in the back of my mind. I'm like, this is just gonna get used against me, and it's not like I can throw this. It's not like there's any way to avoid this. Like, it is here, it's on my back. So now how do we go with this moving forward?
Okay. And then you had a nice weekend trip. A lot happened in the game that resulted in Kennedy being removed. Autumn ended up debugging herself, a lot of which happened whilst you were not around. And then when you were around, it was a completely different game at that point. Racing was over, so we weren't able to see how that final lap would have went. We weren't able to see who would actually been debugged, if racing actually occurred. So like, any feedback, perspective, thoughts on all of that? You can say as little or as much as you'd like, and maybe play scenarios as like because you're kind of like the first person that I'm speaking to about like, if the racing level actually happened, what do you think would have happened? I can show you like the racing thing to see who was where, to give you a little bit more of a gauge if you don't remember.
Oh, I was totally gunning after Papa. Like, you don't have to remind me. He was my target through and through. And there's been a level of distrust on my end with him that I'm sure he's picked up on. But no, with all of that, I think there was a move that I made with Papa that confirmed to him that I'm not someone he can control. Therefore, I became a threat to him.
What move was that?
That move was with part of that move was going back to all that previous drama, not the Kennedy drama, but the drama before that.
That. Okay. Yeah. So I remember back in the early stages when like the narrative became the POC thing, and then I had to do one reminder and then a second reminder. Because at the beginning of the game, I felt like you knew a couple of people, you knew of a couple of people, you were getting to know people you didn't know, right? But whilst doing that, you were like assessing these relationships, assessing these people, and keeping your options open. But when that started to happen, I definitely saw you distance yourself from Papa. What was the sense that you were getting from him around that time? And then like where did it go wrong essentially? Because that's where him being the one you wanted gone and racing, that's the end off.
Yeah, so he is the one who looped me into a conversation with Kennedy that broke the whole idea of a POC alliance. And he was very, very, very concerned that it was going to ruin his game and was going to take all of us out. In which case I had to be like, what level of truths are there here? So that in of itself made me kind of want to like take a step back. And then he continued and was spreading this rumor essentially that Jackie was saying that I was the one trying to like insulate the white players, which of course I'd brought up. And then since then I was like, that seemed like a weird thing. And I just wanted to cut that narrative like out of the game completely and not bring it up anymore. But like, that was like really deeply like impacting me. Like that night, one of the nights that it had been brought up again. And it just like wasn't.
Did Jackie come to you about this conversation she had with Papa where she said that you were insulating?
No, this was all coming from Papa, which is part of the reason I was like, I just need to let this go because it was probably an offhanded mark that like doesn't actually mean anything. But like there was a night where I was like kind of like taking that personally. And so I had got on call with Papa and I was like, as an educator, as a person who works with like children, like I don't like this idea surrounding me that I'm, participating in this like weird racially tense like thing. Like that's just not what I do. And so I got on call with Papa and I was like, I know this is like damaging and I know this is like a serious thing and maybe you won't trust me, but like I feel like I need to talk to like Sean and Jackie about this just to like clear the air, because at that point I was really developing like a friendship with them and I did not want them having that kind of appearance of me. So I was like, I know that it's going to seem like it's coming from you and you're leaking stuff, but like as a person like outside of this game, it's important to me that my friends know that this is not like the behavior that I like subscribe to or like participate in. And he was very much so like, yeah, I understand. But I think in that moment, he was like, I can't, like, Brandon is going to do what Brandon is going to do. And no matter what Papa says, Brandon is still going to do that anyway. So I think the ramifications of that have kind of like spilled over into later parts of the game here. And so when all that came out and like with all the drama, I was just like, you know what, it seems like Papa is playing a game that I am not interested in playing with. So from there on, I kind of just kept an arm's distance. So yeah. I guess you can see on my end it was personal then that I was trying to target him, but yeah.
Well, I mean, it was personal based off of something in the game that you took personally. So still game related, right?
100%.
Yeah. So I know I want to personally apologize to you, Brandon, for you weren't around. I try to prevent everything that like occurred like one-on-one with the parties involved, and I wasn't getting the answers that I needed, the ownership that I needed. Thus, when the big call happened, I felt like they try to make it, not they, but like you can't have a teaching moment without ownership, right? And I'm not a teacher. I'm not as graceful as Garrett and you are in terms of probably mitigating something like this, although I did try behind the scenes. But I just want to apologize because you're an adult. You're not a 20-year-old with like nothing at stake, and you were doing this in your free time. You didn't even apply. You kind of got roped into this, and like this is your second organ. Now you see how like awkward and toxic they can be. And what we try to create here, and especially me, because like I'm the one who started all of this and Rocky and Drew came in and like support the creation. But what occurred and, me screaming essentially from passion is not a reflection of like who I am and what I want out of this. You know what I mean? I feel like I try to prevent it because I was like pointed in the 2 times prior where I like confronted the cast. I'm very sweet, I'm very gentle, but I'm also like super pointed and direct when I like mean no funny business, right? So I'm gonna shut up and stop making this so long-winded, but I wanted to apologize because I felt incredibly awkward for all of the adults in this situation who had nothing to do with it and were just here to play a game. And I'm happy that you are still here, but I haven't formally apologized to you for any awkwardness or just like uncomfortability that production may have created for not handling it in the best way possible. And the half hour that y'all did see wasn't everything, it was the worst. So sorry from the bottom of my heart. And yeah,
I understand. It's one of those things that it's tricky because it is so important that the conversations happen, and there are so many real world and like very personal feelings that come into play here. Like, so I understand that things get heated and things get, tunnel vision happens, right? But it's I understand, like, it happens.
okay. Thank you for letting me get that out. I've been sitting on it for this
No,
month.
of course, you're good.
Okay, so Kennedy's out. Autumn decides to leave.
Yeah.
Which she wanted back in the next day. I will say that. Love her, mean it. Sorry, it's a hit. But how did the game feel when you got your head back into it, your feet back in? What was it like in that moment from your perspective?
It was horrifying because like Kennedy was someone who potentially was an ally down the road just from our previous experience. Autumn was one of my closest allies. And the fact that she gave both of her powers away to the person who was then going to be my biggest enemy. Tyler was and kind of has been a bit more absent, again, someone who I was working closely with. So like I have this like 4 horseman alliance, but like what is the state of that, right? So for me, what happened is I came in, I'm like, this is a completely new game. There's 100% a reshuffling. And yeah, it's been really hard to find my footing again. And I think this was the worst case scenario for me with who ended up competing, that power being played, who lost their vote, who will lose their vote, who's actually voting. So for me, this feels like it's the perfect storm of like, yeah, this is the time to make a big strike at me and probably be successful with it. So now as the round has progressed, I'm like, well, shit, this is an uphill battle. So
Yeah.
not great for my game.
So Papa wins the CPU.
Yeah.
So what went into your decision on playing Corruptor? You still have that opportunity. Oh, for the viewers who are watching this, when you do watch it, Brandon has been nominated by Papa. He is a glitch alongside Garrett.
What was the question again? Sorry.
I honestly forgot. I think maybe.
Oh, what was the decision about?
Yeah, yes.
Or we're not racing, whatever this round is.
Corruptor. Like, what went into your decision in simulation level 5 choosing Corruptor?
I knew going for CPU would be again dangerous, as it was just gonna fully fuel this whole like Brandon does decent at comps. He's a threat. He's social. We need to get rid of him. Corruptor, I felt like gave me a power position, but was a bit more defensive than offensive in the fact that if I were to be nominated, I could then fight for myself. I knew if I just stuck with my vote, there was a chance that depending on who kept their vote, I would still be in the minority no matter what. And that wasn't enough power to try to secure my positioning. So Corruptor seemed like the only viable option at the time, thinking that Sean could try to pull the win in the CPU, but he didn't. So now I have to like go in hard and hopefully I can leverage some of my social relationships that I've been building up to convince people to at least take me off should we get there. But we'll see.
So there are 6 people playing. 16.66666 chance of winning this corruptor. So essentially, like, it's a normal veto competition with only 6 people playing, right?
Yeah.
How are you feeling? Let's take a look. Let me go to storage memory.
I have the thing pulled up too.
Who's your competitors? How are you feeling about that lineup?
So it's Papa, Hannah, Billy, Jackie, Tasha, and myself. I've been fairly like intent on the last couple of days, like strengthening and making sure that 4 horseman alliance is like steady and hopefully like strong enough. The only one I'm not sure of completely is Romeo. I don't know where he fully stands, and of course Garrett is on the block too, so that's a whole other thing. But in terms of this competition, the last like 2 days I've been trying to like look at that other side of the house of the people I haven't been connecting with and try to work with them. So I've been working with Hannah recently. I've been getting on calls with her a lot. I've been really trying to lean into the relationship I built with Jackie. Tasha, I know, is fairly close with Hannah. So going into this, I'm hoping that I can use those to like secure that I get taken off. So I know if I win, I am taking myself off. I talked to Jackie, and ideally, if she wins, she can take me off and then protect herself from a backdoor option. So she said that it seems in her best interest if she wants to take me off. So that seems comforting. I think Hannah at this point has confirmed that should she win, she would take me off. And I'm hoping that she's able to kind of convince Tasha of that as well. As if they're working together, then I might be someone they can scoop up and kind of like use to help advance their game. Papa for sure is not. So that's always terrifying. And Billy, I don't think he's gonna take me off. So my goal with Billy, should he win, is to lean into this whole typing advantages and disadvantages. Because if what he told me is true about his type, then I only have half of a vote towards him. And I'm hoping I can appeal to that like logical side of his brain, which is I can be an ally to you, but I can also, would you rather have someone who only has a half of a vote for you, or
you're non-threatening to him in the future? Do you think the type thing is going to, because like it's been feeling very secondary at the start, you know what I mean? Like 10.5 to 2, like it doesn't really matter, right? But when there's like 8, 7, when there's like 4 people voting, 5 people voting, 3 people voting,
it's huge. Sandy, I was doing the math earlier. I've been trying to like follow up on people's types. So I know Garrett's, I know Sharonica's, I know Benny's, I know Papa's. That's 4 of the 6 people who are voting. Papa has 2 votes against me, which sucks. Terrifying. So Sharonica has already said that she's going to vote for me to keep Garrett. That's 3. Garrett is probably going to vote to keep himself safe. So that's 4. So that's scary, right? Because of the 6, that's 4 votes. Tyler, I think, will probably keep me. I hope. I don't know. He's been MIA. Romeo, I can only hope. I know Benny. I'm trying to leverage Benny's position to help me, because if Benny told me the truth about his type, then Benny has 2 votes against Garrett. So in that case, we might draw it to a 4-4 tie if Romeo decides to, vote to keep me in the worst case scenario. So the typing thing is legitimate. So I don't know what Tyler's type is, and I don't know what Romeo's type is. So those votes, if they don't if they're weak to Garrett, I'm gone no matter what. So it's coming in clutch, this typing thing, and I'm like, no, like I wanted some more safety, but I don't know. Like I said, this whole thing feels like a very, very, very uphill battle, and hoping I can muster some push through and come in strong next round. But
Why do you think Papa decided to glitch you and Garrett, opposed to say, it's no secret to the game that there is a married couple here right now.
Mhm.
What went? What do you think? Like, what do you think it was? Your previous fallout with Papa, or like why? Why you over everybody else in the game?
This is what I'm trying to communicate to everyone in the next 48 hours. Papa has played a messy game. That seems to be the narrative. His game has been messy, but Papa is still a smart and very strategic player at the same time. And I think going into this, his thought was, if I put up Brandon and Garrett, who I'm assuming I think he perceives us as a duo, which would be correct. I'm working very closely with Garrett. People who are not giving him back anything, people who were probably trying to target him. So putting people up like that, always good for your game, right? Get your threats out. But what I'm thinking is happening is that by him taking that time off from the game and trying to let things cool off, by not putting up like a Jackie or Sharonica, he's trying to like smooth things over with them and being like, hey, look, I didn't put you up. See, you can trust me again. If I take myself up, I think he's going to backdoor one of them. So I think this is his attempt to try to place himself back in a middle position so that he can then kind of get back in people's good graces and continue doing the game that he wants to do. So in my opinion, that seems like the most strategic and the smartest move for him. It's dangerous for everyone else in the game if he gets away with it, though, in my opinion, because he puts himself back in the middle. You're giving him all the power he needs again. Like, he needs to be like put in a place where he is like squirming for people to see the kind of game he's playing, for them to be like, okay, he is clearly the next one out, because he can win challenges when he wants to. He has, and then they come in clutch. So if they allow him to position himself like that again, boy has a long run in the game.
What, even if there's like a 0.1% of this possibly happening, like what is the best case scenario for you? Obviously, it's like to get off the block, but like walk me through what happens in like everything is like everything that it shouldn't have happened right now, right? So like what happens if the domino effect from here on out is completely reversed? How does the level end? Who's debugged?
Oh my god, that is uh um okay, so perfect scenario probably is if Jackie wins Corruptor and she follows through, takes me off the block, protects herself from a back door, and if Papa decides to, I mean, realistically, best case scenario is that he puts up Sharonica and Sharonica goes. I've been trying to like work with her and develop something with her on the DL, but I know she has Garrett's best interest over mine. So if that's the case, then I think it's safer for her to go. Honestly, I would like Billy to go up and Billy to go, because he seems to not be really giving me anything and he seems to know everyone's types. So that makes him very, very dangerous. But I don't foresee a world in which Papa puts up Billy ever. So unless he puts up Billy as a pawn to get out Garrett. But again, I don't foresee a world in which that happens. So I guess best case scenario is that I win or I get safety, Jackie gets safety, Sharonica gets put up and she gets voted out.
Okay.
It's a stretch.
I don't think I have any more questions. I'm trying to think. Like that's sort of the end of the round question for here for now. Yeah, how you feeling about tomorrow? You ready?
I am ready. You know, it's and I don't I my cat is literally stealing pretzels out of a bag right now. What are you doing? Get away.
You've been in this professional for a while. Maybe I could sneak one.
Yeah, right. He's like, no one's looking.
Mhm.
Um, no, I don't know. This just feels like such an uphill battle. And on one hand, and I hope you don't take this personally, like if I get sent home, tomorrow is my first day back at school, and we have like teacher PD. So like if I get sent home,
Like,
okay, like I start my school year and like things are
yeah.
fine. I would like to go. I'd like to like full run to the end because I'm like competitive like that. But so I'm trying not to put too much pressure on myself where I end up just like being in a bad mental place where I don't need to be. But there's a competitive part of me that's like push, 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 push. So that's just kind of where my head's at right now, if I'm being
And
honest.
I think that's a healthy place to be.
Yeah. Like there's no money at stake. It's
Yeah,
just an online game. So
exactly. Well, Brandon, obviously, production's rooting for you. We love you. We want you to be here as long as possible. That's no shade. That's not a negative to anybody. It's just a positive to you.
yeah.
Yeah. And I wish you the best of luck tomorrow. I hope your ideal outcome happens in terms of, getting off the block and being safe.
Mhm.
But if you stay on the block and you are a final glitch, there's anyone in this game who could make shit happen. It is you. And yeah, fingers crossed for you. Go do the thing.
Thank you. Fingers crossed it's a slide puzzle tomorrow.
You got this.